Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. This week I have the keys to the all-new Jaguar I-Pace. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, you guys, so here it is, the Jaguar I-Pace. Now, it is finished off in this beautiful black color. I think it looks really good. First thing to note about this car, this one as tested is roughly $87,000. That is a lot of money for this car. So throughout the video, you guys can decide for yourselves if you think it is worth that price. All right, now starting at the front of the I-Pace, first thing you're gonna notice is that very controversial front end. Now, a lot of people hated it at first. I was one of those people. I did not think it looked good in videos, pictures, no matter what you showed me. I thought it was the ugliest thing ever. However, having it in person, seeing it, especially in this shade of black on this beautiful, beautiful day here in Fort Worth, Texas, I think it is a really nice looking front end. It looks really aggressive, especially from this angle. And as you go down, you guys have your signature Jaguar front grille. You're gonna have full LED lights. Even your turn signals are going to be LEDs. And I love the way the lighting looks on this car at night. I think it looks very sharp, real crisp, very high end. And then of course over here off to the side, you have vents that are gonna feed air around the wheels over here, flow all the way down the side of the car, down that awesome side silhouette, and it's just gonna make sure everything is as efficient as possible with this car when it comes to aerodynamics. And speaking of aerodynamics, right here in the grille, if you guys can see this, you actually have this portion of the grille which is gonna fold backwards, and then it's gonna flow air up there, up the hood, over the roof, and then down through the back. There's a spoiler back there, and I'll show you guys that in just a minute. And that's basically going to push the air down the spoiler, and Jaguar says that actually eliminates the need for a rear wiper. I actually drove it through rain during my time with it, so I can honestly say it does eliminate the need for a wiper. So that is pretty cool. But yeah, for the most part, the front end, I think it is a very good look for this car. Once again, it does take some getting used to, but for the most part, I think it looks great. Now coming to the silhouette of the I-Pace. I mean, first of all, just look at this thing. The lines on this bodywork look fantastic. So obviously you guys can see this line is gonna come here, go right back up, and then just flows all the way down towards the back. I think that's really cool. Now, the wheels may look a little bit small on here, so you're not wrong for thinking that, but you are wrong for thinking that these are 18 or 19-inch wheels. These are actually 20-inch wheels. These, on any other car, would be big wheels, but here on the I-Pace, because you got these big wheel wells, they look small. So the really nice wheels that you guys see on every upgraded version of the I-Pace, those are 22-inch wheels. Those are huge. So I think it's pretty crazy that 20-inch wheels look small on this car, but I think they look pretty decent. I would definitely go for the upgraded wheels, just because once again, it really doesn't feel in the wheel wells like you would want it to. Coming down here, you do have your HSE badge. So this is the highest trim level that you can get, which is the HSE. And then your Jaguar badge there. And as you go down towards the sides, you guys can see you have a pretty interesting little flowy design coming right down here. Now, as far as the door handles, cool thing is whenever the door handles are pushed in, it creates this very smooth side profile to the car. I think it looks very futuristic, real nice. However, when they pop out, they're very prominent, so it really ruins that whole look. Not in like a really bad way, it's just when the door handles are pushed in, the door's locked, and it's just sitting there on the side of the street, it looks awesome. All right, so moving to the back of the I-Pace, here's where things start to get a little cooler. So you do have your tail lights right here, so you guys can obviously see those. They're going to wrap around the body here, and then right here in the corner, it's actually going to say Jaguar, or at least have the Jaguar emblem right there. Now, of course, you have LED lighting in the back. It looks really nice. It's a single LED that has this sort of curved design, and it looks sharp. And as a matter of fact, the rear end of this vehicle is very wide, so you guys can see the actual width of the car here on the screen. It's very wide, especially looking at it dead on from the back. You can really tell this car has got a good stance to it. Then if I get a little bit closer up here, you guys can see that rear wing. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a rear wing right here. So you can see where the air is gonna go through there. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So obviously you can see the air is gonna come through here, push all your water if it were raining down right there. And then you've got this tiny spoiler right there, which air is basically going to push down on that guy, help keep this entire rear end planted, and just make sure the stability of the car is better at highway speeds. Now, one other cool feature definitely has to go to this diffuser down here. So if I get closer, you guys can see how far it sticks out. Look at that thing. That's like super race car style. It's pretty funny that this is on an EV, but you guys can see there, it's pretty serious stuff. So I do like that this car has that. I think it's a really cool feature. EV 400 all-wheel drive. Now every Jaguar is going to say that. My guess as to why is I assume in the future Jaguar will come out with more entry-level versions of the I-Pace. I feel like this is definitely the flagship version of the I-Pace lineup. So EV 400 I think in the future will be the top of the line trim, and you'll have different slower, not as powerful versions, not as much range as you go forward. So here's your key for the Jaguar I-Pace. Now, as you guys can see, you got your lock, your unlock, your front trunk release, rear trunk release, your hazards right there, and then on the back it just says Jaguar. Pretty basic key actually. It just looks like a big solid brick. You can use the key to get into the car, or you can use the buttons here. You push that, door handles will get flushed in with the bodywork. Mirrors are going to fold in, and you push that, door handles will come out, mirrors will fold out. All right, so once the doors open, you're ready to get in. You're gonna be presented with this oyster interior. So the oyster interior is this light beige color. Looks fantastic. And then coming over here to the door, this entire door is going to be either soft touch or leather. So you've got leather here, real thick leather, leather here, soft touch all the way up here. You've got this nice metal door handle, your Meridian speaker here for your surround sound system. 3 settings for your memory seats right there. Gonna have all of your window controls right up here. Mirror controls, you tap these 2 at the same time, and that's going to fold your mirrors inwards. And then your child locks, window locks right there. Soft touch all right here. You guys can hear it almost makes no sound because it's all very soft touch. You do have a little bit of storage space here. Got my Maroni here for my next press car, which is the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. I'm actually super excited for it. Be sure you guys stay tuned for that. And then you got this chrome piece right here on the door. As you come in, it says Jaguar right there on this aluminum door seal. Even your controls are going to be outlined in aluminum, which is pretty nice. So you've got all your seating controls there. You don't have aluminum pedals or anything like that, but you do have your rubber pedals right down there. And the seat design looks pretty good. You do have a thigh extension that will come out here, and you've got perforations running through the middle. And yeah, overall I think it's just a really, really good look for sure. Let's go ahead and hop in though, and we'll check out the rest of the car. All right, so let's go ahead and shut the door on the I-Pace. Really solid shut. Like the way that sounds. You can actually hear the air rushing out as you shut it. Super nice. So quality is pretty good initially, at least. And there's a quick look around the cabin. And then once the key is in here, your push start button is going to be located right there. So foot on the brake, and you're going to push that to start. And that's it. Because it's electric, there's no crazy startup. It's just push your button, you're good to go. But starting with the steering wheel, very nice. You've got some really thick grip extensions right here, so you guys can see that. This is pure aluminum right here, so it looks very, very nice. One thing about these steering wheel buttons that's pretty cool, when the car is off, they're just completely blacked out, and these are all illuminated behind here. So you won't see these emblems until the car is turned on. So I think that's pretty neat. Your Jaguar symbol here. Then as you get closer to these little guys here, so you're going to have your voice control, your phone commands. This is going to control your volume or it's going to control things here in the screen, which I'll get to in just a second. Your previous next for your music, things like that. Then over here to the right, you're going to have all of your adaptive cruise control. I also like how we have this little area here. It's kind of like a little pass-through. It's just a real neat look. Heated steering wheel right there. You're going to have your lane keep assist or steering assist right here, and I'll talk about that actually in the driving portion of the video, because there is something about that I did want to mention to you guys. Your lane keep assist, so how much distance you want to keep from the car in front of you, that's going to be by pushing these two on the outside, and then setting by just pushing up. So really, really simple. Now, behind your steering wheel, you are going to have automatic wipers right over here, automatic lights over here to the left side, as well as your blinkers. Now, since we are here on this screen, let me go ahead and discuss this with you guys. So first of all, it looks really nice. Like the way it looks. You have your navigation over here to the right, and you've got your car information over here to the left. So right now I've got radio, and then in the middle you have things like your speed, your gear, so park, drive, reverse, neutral, how many miles you have left on the charge, and then that charge power gauge there at the top. When it goes to the left, obviously that's regenerative braking, and then over to the right is going to be how far you are in the power, how much power you're pushing out of the battery. Now, going back to this guy here, so if I use that, if I push it in one time, that's going to show me a little bit more information over here to the left. So I have my trip meters. If I go over to the right, you can adjust your displays to make them exactly what you want. You have your heads-up display, which you can adjust. I'll show you guys that in just a second. Different vehicle settings, exterior lighting, convenience features, vehicle info, media, and then driver assistance features. So you can really customize the screen to look exactly the way you want it to look, showing the information you need it to show. That is pretty cool. Now, the steering wheel itself is telescoping up and down. Now, being 6 feet tall, got a pretty good amount of room here. You guys can see my knees are kind of in here, so it is very cockpit feeling. Not sure if you can really tell from this angle, but yeah, I do feel a little cramped in here, but it's not very terrible. And of course, you just lock it in as manual. And coming down here, you're going to have your releases right over there. So you have releases for your front trunk right here, if you guys can see that. You can have your interior illumination, electronic parking brake, rear trunk release. Then as you come up, you are going to have this awesome aluminum look going right there. You got some nice old man wood, which looks pretty good though. It's got a nice gloss to it, and the grain actually looks pretty decent if you guys can see it. Hope you can. If not, I'll show you a little bit later. Heads-up display is going to be right there. As you come up, you got, of course, soft touch all up here, speaker there. And here's another look at that wood. Hopefully you guys can see it a little bit better. But it's got some good grain to it. Wish it was matte wood, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of the gloss wood. It definitely feels very old school. But, you know, I'm 26 years old, so I can't afford this car, so maybe it's tailored to people who can actually afford this car. Now, coming up here, you've got your vents here. They say Jaguar there in the middle, if I can see that for you guys. As you come down, you've got your screen here. So your screen is pretty decent. It does have a good amount of lag, so everything you guys have heard about it having lag, yes, it is true. Now, it is a few things. So if you guys can see here, there's like an animation that happens every single time it goes to a different screen, whether it's dissolving, whether it's something lifting up, or moving to the left, moving to the right. But I feel like even if they got rid of those animations, it still would perform pretty poorly, if I'm being honest. So going to your home screen, if I swipe over here to the right, you've got a few cool things here. You have eco data here, so you can see what is impacting your range and what you can do to basically maximize your range. So speaking of maximizing range, another thing you can do is if you go to this My EV right here, and if you hit, let me see, if I swipe to this screen, if I hit this guy here, that'll ask me if I want to go into low power mode. So sort of like your iPhone, when your phone's about to die, you go into low power mode, you go to yes, and then watch what happens when I hit yes. Screen turns off, AC turns off, and then just everything just gets very Flintstone-like. So you do have to sacrifice a lot on here if you do decide to go to low power mode. So I would suggest just planning your routes accordingly and basically going from there. So here's another thing I want to point out. I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about it right now. Jaguar says this will do 234 miles of range. I'm basically a little bit below half a charge, and I only have 84 miles of range. So if you guys do the math, that doesn't equate to what Jaguar said. Now, that does change and fluctuate depending on your driving style. However, the best I've ever gotten was 211 miles out of this thing. And that was me driving like a saint. I've had to fully charge this twice. So you guys can see here, I actually went to the Electrify America charging station where I was able to do that, and it was pretty decent. Didn't take super long. I think it took like an hour and 10 minutes to charge. You know, I guess that is super long, so I do take that back. But the crazy part is, depending on different charging situations, so with Tesla, once again bringing them up just for comparison purposes, they have their supercharging stations, and it'll charge directly to your card through the Tesla. It's actually cheaper that way because Tesla owns it. They're able to do everything through them. This Electrify America charging station, also keep in mind it has a fee if you stay there over 10 minutes after it's done charging. Didn't know that. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. So my total price was about $50 to fully charge this thing. All right, I do want to correct myself on what I just said about the charging cost. Now, to give you guys a more accurate example of the charging cost, so it was 40 cents a minute right here. So you guys can see that, 40 cents a minute. And the charging cost just to charge is $1.30. And the state of charge I was at when I started was 32%. So 32%, vehicle had reached 80%, and then it was telling me to please move my car once it's done. So it was still charging, and then once it was finished, the total was $33.76. State of charge was at 100%. So from, what was this, 32% to 100%, $33.76, and that got me 211 miles of range. Coming down here, you do have your climate control and, you know, heated seats, cooled seats, which you can also access through here. Heated to the right, cooled to the left, and you have that on both sides. So even this has a little bit of lag, as you guys can see there. If I push down, that will take me back to my temperature, and then I pull up, and that's my fan speed right here. So that is pretty neat. I do like the way that Jaguar went about doing that. As you come down, you've got your drive, neutral, reverse, which will pull up your backup camera right there. Pretty good quality backup camera. You got your 360 camera as well. You have guidance lines, and you have all sorts of cool things that you can see through there. I'm gonna throw it back into park. Now as I come over here to my right, that's going to be my different driving modes, traction control, and then this does have air suspension. So you guys can see the car raising up, lowering right here. It gets really, really low in the lowest setting, and it gets really high in the highest setting for off-roading. So it is pretty impressive that it has that. The change from the lowest to the highest setting is actually pretty dramatic. And then you've got your different driving modes here. So I can scroll down to dynamic. I have comfort. Then I have eco. Then I have ADSR, which is basically for rain, snow, anything that's not ideal conditions. It basically helps the vehicle and the traction control do everything it can to keep the car as stable and as sure-footed as possible. So I think that is a pretty cool thing there. A little bit of storage space here, so you guys can see I've got my key there for the Jag. Storage space here. Now this is interesting. So like Tesla, they've got a little area you can put your phone, it charges. Jaguar has it, but it takes up your cup holder space, and also it's super small. I have an iPhone SE and it fits in there, but it fits in there so snug. So if you don't have an iPhone SE, you can't put your phone in there. It just won't work. It's gonna be too big and it won't work. So this is for SE owners only. So there you go. And then you have your spare cup holder here, but this little area is a little bit wider and you can definitely fit a bigger phone there. But I don't think you can fit it with a case, so there is that. Armrest is pretty good. I can rest my arm on here. Two people can definitely put their arms there without fighting for it. USBs in here. You have a micro SIM slot right there, and then a 12-volt right there. Deep storage space too, so very, very deep. That's my arm going all the way down, so good amount of space in there. As you come up, you have a lockable glove box. It is cooled as well, so that way if you throw Snickers in there, if you throw anything in there that could melt or you don't want it to get hot, you can keep it nice and cool. Frameless mirror design right up here with your home link on the bottom. You do have sunglass holder here. It's real softly padded so it won't scratch your sunglasses. SOS here, maintenance button right there. You do have an area here for ambient lighting. So you do have ambient lighting all throughout the cabin, and it looks gorgeous, guys. It is awesome. You can change all of your colors by going through the settings here. It is going to take me a second to get to it so I can show you guys. I'm sorry, you're actually going to go over here. Here we go. Ambient lighting. So you go to ambient lighting and you have all these colors to choose from. So that's pretty much going to be it for the front seat of the vehicle. I know that was a lot to cover, so I do apologize. Thank you guys for still sticking with me, but let's go ahead and hop in the back seat and we'll check out the room. All right, so sitting in the back of the I-Pace, I actually have a decent amount of room. So I put the passenger seat to my comfortable position. I'm 6 feet tall. Sitting behind myself, I have a good amount of room. So I'd say that's about almost 4.5 solid inches of knee room, which is great. My feet room is good, so I can slide them in and out, no issues. Headroom is pretty good, especially because of this big, beautiful glass roof. So you guys can see this entire thing looks awesome. And I do think that I have about an inch of headroom above my tall hair while being 6 feet tall. So that's pretty impressive. You have LED lights back here. You've got that same beautiful oyster colored interior with the perforations. You have tons of USB ports back here. So for example, right behind this seat, I have a little slot here. I fold it back, I have a USB. Right under here, I lift this up, I have an area to put in like a screen or something like that. I have heated seats back here. I'm gonna have 2 more USBs right down here, a 12 volt, a little bit of storage space, and you even have storage space underneath each seat. Middle seat, and then this other side seat as well. So that's pretty crazy. Obviously, map pockets. You have vents back here on the sides, which is great. So if you have children, they're in a car seat, the vent can face more directly towards them instead of being down here, just hitting the bottom of the car seat. If you fold this armrest down, this is probably like the jankiest part of the back seat. So it's squishy, it's nice, but it's like really small, it's really flimsy and feels like it's gonna break off. Also, the cup holders are super shallow, so I would not trust anything that isn't a closed top in this. And then you can lift this up. So if I push this little guy, you've got shallow storage space right in there. And of course you have hooks here for dry cleaning here and here. Your same awesome doors. You've got interior lighting back here as well. And yeah, it's just an overall nice looking cabin. I think in terms of space and in terms of like feeling connected, having all of your USB ports everywhere, you've got a good amount of things to keep you occupied, especially with this awesome roof. It's just a beautiful look if you're driving anywhere that's scenic or downtown, anything like that. But let's go ahead and check out the trunk space on the I-Pace. All right, so now coming to the back of the I-Pace, to get in, it's very easy. You can use your key or you can just kick right underneath here. That is, well, that should, after a few tries, there we go, open the back hatch for you. So once it is up, the good thing is that even being 6 feet tall, I can fit under here, no issue. So you guys can see my hair is scraping a little bit, but for the most part, I can get things in and out without hitting my head on here, which is a huge deal. Now, you do have a cargo cover back here. I've got my tripod back here. You have a little rubber mat here, which is going to be an accessory. You can, of course, fold the seats down. You guys can see the full cubic feet right here on the screen if you guys want to take a look at that. Also, you have a 12 volt back here. You're going to have lights back here, of course, to make sure you're illuminated at night. That way you can see everything. And then underneath here, you aren't going to have a ton of space, but you do have a little bit of space under there as well. So it's not going to be that deep cavernous cavity like you have in like the Model X or even the Model 3 or the Model S, but it is a decent amount of usable space. That's pretty much it for under here. Let's go ahead and see what's under the hood. All right, so under the hood of the I-Pace. Now to get in here, you hit the key twice. That's gonna open it, and then it has hydraulic struts that'll keep it held up, which is nice. You have 0.95 cubic feet under here, so it's very, very small. Definitely not like a lot of the competitors. You've got a little net here to kind of keep things in place, but for the most part, you can't fit much under this little guy. But let's go ahead and get the I-Pace on the road and see how it does. All right, guys, I want to give you a little bit more insight about actually owning an electric car that doesn't go off like supercharger network, that only goes off of like EV goes. So here's an EV go, one right here. As you guys can see, there's a Nissan Leaf charging up, but this thing can only charge one car at a time. So I gotta wait for him to charge up. And the other EV go on the other side of this parking lot, which is over there, there's a Tesla sitting in front of it, and the other cable, this one right here, it's supposed to stretch all the way, it's like broken so it doesn't stretch. So I'm stuck to this one unless the Tesla guy moves, which I may go double check. And yeah, I gotta be somewhere in like the next 45 minutes, which is roughly about what it'll take to charge this thing. I'm on 71 miles and it's a 74-mile trip from here. So hopefully I'll be able to charge, because if not, I'm not gonna make it back to Park Place to drop this thing off. All right, you guys, so I'm going to charge the I-Pace. Now, the charging I showed you guys earlier, that was about 33 bucks. That was a completely different time. This time I'm gonna charge using the EVgo station. I'm at 67 miles now because I've been driving around, which is 36%. So, should be fairly simple to use. All I do is walk up to this. I'm gonna click credit card, swipe my card. So all I'm gonna do is stick my card right in here. There we go, card is in. Card capture failed, okay. So I guess, do I just swipe it again? That's what I need. Credit card, okay. Swiped my card. Then it's gonna text me all the information you guys saw earlier, just like the Electrify America machine. Gonna hit accept. And we're gonna start. So, plug's already plugged in. It says communicating with vehicle. All right, so that means it's going. It's gonna tell me my test voltage, which is about 4 volts right now. There we go. So you guys can hear this thing working away now. The charger is putting out about 100 amps. Okay, and you can tell it's charging. It should light up green right here. I think it already did. There's a little light right there. Should light up green. It's not doing anything there, but it does say that it's charging right in here. So, hour 32 minutes for me to get from 37% to a full charge. Don't think it'll get to 100%, but we'll see how far it gets. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and have to stop it. I've been here for about 26 minutes right there. Fortunately, I do gotta get going, so I'm gonna see how much it's charged, and hopefully I have enough range to make it there. So I'm just gonna hit stop. Should stop charging. See how much range that got me. So that got me total of 117 miles at 62%. So there you go. All right, so behind the wheel of the Jaguar I-Pace. Now, here's how that's gonna work. I'm probably just gonna drive this around just a little bit, give you guys my impression of how it drives. I'm gonna do some 0 to 60, and then that's basically going to wrap up the video after that, and I'll give you guys my final impressions. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get going. So, I have it in just its normal drive mode right now. Obviously, being electric, it's extremely quiet. Now, going on this back road, I wanted to take it down this back road because this is a road I drive all the time. Almost every car I review, I drive it down this road. So this really gives me a good perspective, or a good frame of reference of how this rides compared to like every other vehicle. So I will admit that even in, let's see, we are in Eco, Comfort, so I was in Comfort. So even in Comfort, it feels a little bumpy, but it handles incredibly well. So you guys can see there going around this corner, it turns in very sharp, and it dug really close into that corner. That's extremely impressive. And that was me going very, very light on the car. So I'm about to turn around. I'm gonna go through that one more time, but this time I'm going to throw it into its dynamic mode. And I'm actually gonna turn off traction control. You can't hold it and turn off stability as well. You just have to push it once, and that's as much as you can get in terms of turning off all the nannies. So going into this corner, I'm gonna brake it, turn in, which is really good. Got a little tire squeal, but it seems to grip really well. And then the acceleration is obviously fantastic because it's electric, instant torque. You have 394 horsepower, over 500 pound-feet of instantaneous electric torque. So it feels awesome, it feels great. Now, one thing that is interesting, that dynamic sound control that you have, I'll let you guys take a listen to that right now. So I'll be quiet. Here we go. It is interesting, that's for sure. Definitely grows as you keep accelerating. So that is a plus, because it's not like it's just one monotone sound. It's very interesting, takes some getting used to, but I will admit that if maybe they could change the sound to something slightly different, I don't really know what that would be. I don't really know what sound for me in an electric car would make me feel like, oh, this is cool. But I have heard electric cars that have this natural sort of whine. I think if they could just enhance that. So if you guys have seen any sort of videos over Jaguar's electric, like Formula E cars or anything like that, they sound really cool just like as they are. They've got this really futuristic electric whirring noise that's just really loud. And I think if something like that could be applied to, let's say, like an SVR version of this car, and then you've got that louder electric whine, I think that would be really, really cool. Now, the best thing, obviously, about having an electric car is when you're on the highway. So, you guys can see there's a vehicle right here in my blind spot, because I've got my blind spot on right there. And if I wanted to accelerate past this guy, I can just put my foot down and I'm gone. It's so crazy. All right, so 0 to 60, very easy. I have the traction control off right here, and I have it in dynamic mode, so you guys can see right there, I'm in dynamic mode. Now, the cool thing is you can actually brake torque this thing. So I've got my foot in the brake. If I put my foot all the way down, you guys can see it goes up to the P right there on power. So I'm just gonna brake torque it and see what we can do. Here we go. Oh, jeez. And 60. Wow, that was really quick. I actually was not expecting it to be that quick off the launch. Man, that's really impressive. All right, so to conclude my review of the Jaguar I-Pace, just want to start off by saying the exterior of this car looks awesome. I think the interior looks equally as gorgeous. This car is very fast, it's fun to drive, very nimble, more agile than I was expecting it to be. And the big question is this the electric car to get? In my opinion, I don't think so. The range fluctuates so much. Had a hard time getting the EPA estimates, not to mention it takes a very long time for this thing to charge. And if you use third-party companies, which you have to, like EVgo, Electrify America, they charge you anywhere from 30 to 40 cents a minute before taxes and other fees. Model X has the advantage because it has a little bit more range, not as fast, but a better charging network and less expensive to charge. Then again, you fully load out Model X, it's 97 grand with not nearly as nice of an interior. But I can tell you this, I'd rather be driving than sitting at a charging station looking at this beautiful interior. That is going to be my conclusion. Sorry if it doesn't make you very happy, but my job is to tell you guys what's true, not what you want to hear. See you guys next review.